three.
Let us pray. Father in heaven, we're thankful for the continued gift of life and your manifold blessings that you have granted to us through the course of the day. Not only life, but health, food, shelter, and many other things. Lord, as we are now come before you, we acknowledge your goodness, your grace, and your mercy. And as we're about to enter into another presentation, we ask that your Holy Spirit will be in the midst to give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. But may we, most importantly, not only be hearers, but doers of this information that you have given us, this wonderful health message, whereby we may obtain health and beat back disease, and that we may be in health, even as our soul prospereth. So, Lord, be with us now, I pray. In Jesus' name, with thanksgiving. Amen. All right, Maranatha family, good afternoon. My name is Desmond Dunkley, and this evening we will be continuing in the series of our presentations on the organs of elimination, speaking about detoxing the body. Now, as we have been going through each week, we know that there are 7 organs or body systems that work together to filter and eliminate toxins, pathogens, and metabolic waste from the body. And these 7 channels of elimination, they are the lungs, the liver, the skin, the kidneys, the colon, the lymph, and the blood. Now, we have gone through an overview of all of these, and we are now drilling down into the specifics of each of the system. Last week, we looked at the colon, right, which is probably the major organ of elimination and detoxification, right? And then maybe just recap just some of the major points about the, the boil, right? It primarily removes toxin in the form of stool. And if that system is to work properly, we need to make sure that the stool can pass up unobstructed through our system quickly and keep things moving and clearing very quickly. Some of the things that we need to do to ensure that is to ensure that there is enough fiber in our diet, that we're drinking enough water, right? To make sure that we are exercising, that we have a regularly spaced diet, eating at the same time each and every day, that we chew our food conscientiously and thoroughly, no cutting and no swallowing, right? The thorough mastication of the food and many other points, but those were some of the very main ones, right? And one of the main things to keep in mind, you do not want to have fecal matter sitting down in the colon. It becomes a toxic cesspool, and you'll be continually reabsorbing toxins from that waste material and, defeating the whole purpose of detoxification. Now, this week we'll be looking at the lymphatic system. We're looking at the lymphatic system. Now, the lymphatic system is made up of many various parts, and it is almost like it is the backup. Our friends, just hold on 1 second for me. Sorry about that, friends. Now, the lymphatic system has many components, and you see some of them there on your screen. You have the lymph nodes, you have your tonsils and adenoids, which are also lymph nodes. You have the thymus, which is sitting right there above the heart, the appendix, the bone marrow, the spleen, and the various other vessels of the lymphatic system. Now, our bodies, why is the system so important? Our bodies are exposed to so many contaminants on a regular basis. Now, up to 82,000 different toxins and chemically based products we are exposed to on a continual basis. And processed foods that we are exposed to weekly. not to mention the natural waste our cells produce daily. That is the metabolic waste, right? The byproducts that come from the biochemical processes that go on in our body that sustains life. And our lymphatic system, which is made up of nodes, vessels, ducts, and glands, acts as the body's natural drainage and detoxification system. Now, lymphatic system is actually a part of the body's immune system, and it has many functions. But before we start getting down into the functions, we need to kind of drill down a little bit more into what this lymphatic system looks like. What are the various parts that make it up? So I'm going to share with you um, a web page that summarizes a lot of that information for us in a nice little um con concise way. All right, let us go to that screen. Just hang on 1 second for me, guys. All right. Yes, this is the one. All right, good. So as we just read a while ago, lymphatic system has the lymph nodes, right? The vessels, ducts, glands, and it acts as the body's natural drainage and detoxification system. Now, everybody is familiar with the circulatory system. That's the heart, the arteries, the blood vessels, the capillaries, and the veins, and all that circulation system. But there is actually another circulation system that exists in the body, and that is the system that we are now talking about, which is the lymphatic system. Just like how you have the heart and the various vessels, the arteries, the veins, the capillaries that connect up together and the system goes throughout the body, there is a secondary circulatory system made up of the lymph nodes and the various lymph ducts, lymph vessels, and the various different organs that are connected to lymphatic system that makes up that secondary circulatory system. Now, where does the fluid that circulates in the lymphatic system, where does it come from? If you look at your screen, you will see a very simplified diagram, right? In that diagram, you are seeing the heart, and the heart pumps blood through the arteries. The arteries break down into vessels and capillaries, and they all join up back into a major vein that goes back to the heart, and the system, goes around and round. No, but what happens now is that there is something called the interstitial space. The fluid, as it is pumping the blood, I'm speaking of, as the blood is pumped through the arteries and going down into the capillaries, some of the fluid within the blood leaks out into that space that exists between the cells, right? That fluid is called plasma, and plasma has electrolytes, it has in water, and there's something else that is supposed to be in it. I don't remember the other name of what is in it, but that fluid that leaks out of the blood vessels, out of the capillaries, it needs to go somewhere. Otherwise, it would accumulate in your tissues and starts to cause swelling, which is what we call like edema, right? When the ankles swell, when, various joints swell or body parts swell, it is usually because of the buildup of fluid in that interstitial space. right? So what happens now is that that fluid now drains into the lymphatic capillaries. And if you look at your screen, you will see where those yellow arrows are, right? So the excess fluid or the fluid that leaks out of your blood vessels, your lymphatic capillaries pick up that fluid, and that fluid is transported through the lymphatic capillaries, right? Pass through some waypoints such as lymphatic node, and eventually all of the lymph in the body, right, makes its way back into the blood from which it came. It joins up back with the blood, pumps back into the heart, and is circulated throughout the system, throughout the circulatory system, the primary circulatory system, and the cycle continues. The blood goes through the capillaries, right? Some of that fluid leaks out into the interstitial space, and the lymphatic capillaries pick it up back, and the cycle goes on and on and on around. So basically, that fluid is like it is washing your cells, right? It is flushing your tissues, right? Because it comes out of the capillaries, runs over or through the various cells that are within the body's tissues, right? Washing the cells, so to speak. And then the lymphatic capillaries pick up back that fluid and carries it back to the heart through the lymphatic trunk, and it is circled again. It is circulated again, right? That is how that system works, right? So it is a secondary circulatory system. Now, what does the lymphatic system do? Now, the lymphatic system is a closed system of lymphatic vessels, lymph nodes, and lymph. Lymph is the fluid. That fluid that is taken up by lymphatic vessels is called lymph or lymphatic fluid. You can think of the lymphatic system as a purification center or the garbage disposal system of the body. So right away, you know that it plays a very important role in the detoxification of the body, seeing that it is a purification center. Now, the lymph nodes in the lymphatic system act as as spot purification centers where the fluid, in this case lymph, that passes through them is filtered and made toxin, bacteria, and virus free. But before we get down into this, make we, let us break it down a little bit more. As we said, the lymphatic system runs parallel to the blood system, right? It's a secondary circulatory system. And just as the blood transports oxygen and nutrients to the tissues, there happens to be a net leakage of fluid outward into the interstitial spaces between the tissues. This leakage of fluid takes place because the walls of the blood capillaries, they're a little bit leaky. Remember that the capillaries are just one cell thick, and the junctions these, um, between the walls of the capillary allow some amount of permeation of the aqueous component of the blood. Aqueous is just a fancy word for the watery component of the blood, along with some proteins. That was the third thing that I forgot. So the aqueous component of the blood, which is the water, is able to leak out of the blood capillaries through those tiny spaces between the cells that form the wall of the capillary, right? So some water will leak out, and in that water, you will have proteins, you will have some nutrients, you will have oxygen, and you will have electrolytes. And that's what makes up the blood plasma that, permeates right throughout all the tissues in the body. Now, this fluid plays a very important role because not only does it provide oxygen, but oxygen is in that lymphatic, that plasmatic fluid that leaks out of the capillaries. So it provides oxygen to the cells within the interstitial spaces. It provides nutrients. And not only that, when the individual cells carry out the various biochemical um, reactions that support life and they create waste, metabolic waste, that waste is pushed out of the cell into the interstitial spaces, that is a space between the cells, right? Right into that same fluid, that plasma fluid that leaks out of the capillaries. And then as the plasma is moved into the lymphatic capillaries, it sweeps away that waste material. So, so the fluid brings in nutrients, it brings in oxygen, various proteins, and stuff like that, and it takes away the metabolic waste from the cells. It takes away the carbon dioxide and all that other kind of waste stuff and toxins, any toxins that are in the body, all of it is now flushed into the lymphatic um, capillaries, and it makes its way through the lymphatic what's word now? The lymphatic vascular system, for lack of a better word, or the lymphatic pathway, because just like how you have the veins and arteries and the capillaries right throughout the body, likewise, you have a network of lymphatic vessels, so to speak, to pick up that fluid and transport it all the way back to the heart. But there's a very important part of that system called lymph nodes. So that fluid doesn't just flow all the way back to the heart. It has to flow through the lymph nodes. And guess what is in those lymph nodes? You have some special cells called lymphocytes. Now, I am going to give out my first A today, and this is going to be a big A, right? This is what I call a heavy duty triple A. Some students for me, please to name out for me some of the lymphocytes. All of you should know about your immune system. The one that is, I don't know if I want to call it the most important system in the body, but it's certainly one of the most important systems, especially as it comes to the maintenance of health, your ability to ward off diseases. And if you do become sick, this is a system that is going to repair the damage and destroy the disease. So name me some of the lymphocytes. Who can name me? I want each person just to name one type of lymphocyte. Let me see the hand so I can give up my triple A. Who is first? Who is first? Let me see if anybody raising their hands. Come, guys. I see a hand here. Ion, go ahead. Unmute yourself. Michelle, can you make it that the students can just unmute themselves quickly so we don't have to unmute them?
The liver.
The liver is a lymphocyte. No, this one you're way off. I'm going to give you some clues. Whether you're hot or you're cold, man, you are in the deep freeze of space. You're far off, not the liver.
Okay,
But
all
thank you,
right.
nevertheless.
All right.
All right, so Ion, listen very carefully because you're going to learn something new tonight. All right, I have iPhone. Go ahead, iPhone.
Abdominal?
Abdominal. No, you're still in deep
No.
space. Not close. Lymphocytes. Come on, giving you guys three more chances.
How about the
Delta. Please, guys,
erythrocyte?
wait to turn, guys. Wait to turn. We're going by the raised hands. Just raise your hands if you want to take a try. Delita, go on.
Phagocytes? Phagocytes?
All right. No, we yes, we're getting close. Yes, the phagocytes. That is a type of immune cell, but I want the ones that are produced in the lymph nodes in particular. But yes, you're getting warm now. You're getting really, really warm. Who is next? I heard a male voice. Raise your hand, please, and just go ahead. Who was our male who was answering a while ago?
I think it was CPL guess. CPGL.
Come, sir, go ahead. I heard you coming in. You are next.
Good evening. I was saying erythrocytes is one.
No, erythrocytes are red blood cells.
How
I
about
want I want lymphocytes.
lymphatic cells? Okay.
No, lymphocytes. All right, I have
Yeah.
one more person hand up who wants to try. Angela Lee, Grinon? Angel
Angel Lee.
Lee. Angel
I
Lee, yeah.
think you have I think you have the T lymphocytes and you
All
have
right.
oh
Now we're talking. Yes, T lymphocytes and what else?
I think there is B as well. It's a bio from long
T
time, so
lymphocytes. Yes. And can you name the last one?
um I don't remember anymore,
All right.
T B
You have
I don't remember.
T, right? You have T, you have B, and you have NK, natural killer cells.
Okay.
All right. These are the three types of lymphocytes. So what happens now when the that fluid from the interstitial spaces is going through the lymph vessels? They have to be filtered and cleaned by the lymph nodes. And in the lymph nodes, you have the cells of the immune system, the lymphocytes. These are the front line defense, the first line of defense that comes into play should there be an infection or an invasion of the body by bacteria or viruses. They will be flushed into the lymphatic system and they will buck up on the immune cells in the lymph nodes. That is why when you have an infection, the closest lymph node to the site of the infection, what happens to it, guys? Quickly, what happens to the lymph node closest to the site of any infection?
Swollen.
Become swollen.
It becomes swollen and it becomes inflamed because your immune response has been triggered, right? And what it does is that it stops the flow of the pathogens to reach back into the blood system. And can you imagine that it didn't have any lymph nodes, right? And when an infection takes place and the bacteria is flushed into the lymphatic system, there are no lymph nodes and it does circulate right back to the heart and is circulated throughout the body. What happened to you? You see how quickly you will be dead. But friends, I'm telling you, don't make no guy nowhere tell you about no evolution. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. The master designer or creator God made sure to put these lymph nodes there so they act as like a block. Stop the bacterial march or stop the invasion right there in its tracks. And you have the body's soldiers, natural killer cells, the T cells, which are a type of T cells that are made in the thymus gland, right? The thymus gland, do you remember it? It is a part of the lymphatic system. That is where the T cells are trained on how to recognize and to destroy invaders, right? And then you have the B cells, right? Those come from the bone marrow, right? And they do the work of destroying bacteria, viruses, and not only those, you have the toxins. If any toxins are there, other immune cells, as somebody had mentioned, the macrophages, they will surround and eat up anything that is thought to be toxic by the body, right? So that is where the work of the immune system is highly centralized. Okay. And if you know about the natural killer T cells, I mean the NK cells, the natural killer cells, these are the body's cancer fighting cells. They are the ones that automatically detect the presence of cancer cells and destroys them before they can spread and do more damage in the body. right? So your lymphatic system is a very key, very, very important system because it is the underpinning system for your immune function, okay? And the destruction of viruses, bacteria, and the neutralization of toxins, right? So some of the more important functions of the lymph include the redistribution of fluid in the body. So as excess fluid leaks out of your blood vessels into the tissues, instead of that fluid staying there and causing swelling, it is leached back into the blood through the lymphatic system. So it balances and redistributes fluid throughout the body. It also returns protein from the interstitial tissue to the blood. It transports the lymphocytes, which contributes to overall immunity, and it helps in the elimination of bacteria and toxins by passing through the lymph nodes where filtration takes place. Now, lymphatic system doesn't have a heart. So just like your circulatory system has a heart, the lymphatic system does not have a heart. So the question is now, how does lymphatic fluid, how does it flow throughout this lymphatic system? How does it move around the body? You will notice that a lymphatic vessel looks very similar to a particular type of vessel, another type of vessel that is in the body. Somebody raise your hand for another triple A. What vessel, what other vessel in the body does the lymphatic vessel seem to look similar to? Let me see who I can give a triple A to. Come guys, raise your hands. Let me see those hands. Come on, guys. You guys are defenders of your health. You need to know your physiology. You need to know what the vessels in your body look like. You need to know what the various, the similarities and the differences and their roles and their functions. No hands?
Hale's family said capillary.
Who said that?
Hale's family in the chat.
Capillary? No.
Yep.
No, in a way, just like we have capillaries and veins, that is the obvious part, right? Because it is a type of circulatory system. It's a secondary circulatory system. So it will have vessels, and the smallest of these vessels will be the capillaries, and going all the way up to duct size, which would be similar to our arteries and our veins. But when you look at this particular lymph vessel, you notice that lymph comes into the vessel and it goes through a series of one-way valves, right? So if you can see my mouse, the lymphatic fluid, or should I say, the plasma will drain into the lymph vessel, at which point it becomes lymphatic fluid, right? So the fluid will enter lymphatic capillary, right? And it will be moving one way, right? You see the one-way valves moving from left to right. Once it goes through the valve right here, right, it can push through, but it can't push back, right? So it's a one-way direction flow of fluid. So there are valves there. So which other primary vessel does this look like? Talking about the circulatory system, the blood. Does it look like what?
It looks like the valves in the heart.
You're getting close. So it is looking like the valves in the veins. Remember, you have veins and you have arteries. Arteries don't have valves, but the veins have valves so that there's one-way flow of blood. So likewise, in the lymphatic system, all of the lymphatic vessels have valves. In the main circulatory system, the blood, there are no valves in the arteries. There are no valves in the capillaries. There are only valves in the veins. But all lymphatic vessels have valves because there's no heart. There is no pump. So if there's no pump, how does lymphatic fluid move around the system? Come now, triple A again. Nobody got that one. My brother here was one that came very close. He said it looked like the valves in the heart. They do, but it's more synonymous to the valves in the veins. So somebody for triple A now. Go ahead, anybody. How does lymphatic fluid move throughout the body if there's no heart?
Is it by contraction and relaxation, something like peristaltic movement?
I went to almost give you. You're getting 2 out of the 3 A's, right? So now the blood, I know what you're thinking. You are thinking like with the arteries where the hearts have muscles within the walls of the blood vessels and they actually contract and move blood around. But if you notice with the lymphatic vessels, there are no muscles. What it uses is the muscles of the limbs, right? Because the lymphatic vessels, they move close to, close to where your arteries and your main veins are. So they're all surrounded by, guess what? Muscles. So as you walk and as you move around and your muscles are contracting and relaxing and pressing on the lymphatic vessels, they squeeze, but the fluid can only move in what? One direction. So guess which law of health is going to be critical to the proper maintenance of lymphatic health? Another triple A.
Exercise.
That is right, Cynthia. Exercise. That's why we tell all of our clients, listen, no exercise, you know, I think everybody thinks I am the meanie when it comes to, you know, medical missionary work. Some people think I'm a little bit too what's the right word I want to? I don't want to say mean, because mean is such a negative word. A little bit more stringent. I would say to them, say, listen, no exercise, no healing. That could be more like you need to exercise because it is important. But this is why it is important. Exercise builds the immune system because it directly affects your lymphatic health, right? This is how lymphatic fluid is able to circulate and move around and become refreshed. You don't want the lymphatic system to stagnate, have the fluid being stagnant, right? Where the toxins get to build up, the different cells of the immune system are not able to efficiently circulate throughout the body. The lymphatic fluid is not passing through the lymph node filters where the bacteria and the viruses can be killed and the toxins neutralized and stuff like that. So how can you have a supercharged immune system, an efficient running immune system when you have a stagnant lymphatic system? You have to exercise, right? And remember that one of the functions of lymphatic system is to bring oxygen, oxygenated fluid to the interstitial spaces, right? And to move it up the line. Exercise is key to all of this. So every time you exercise is like you're pumping your lymphatic system. You are making, the flow, the drainage. You are fighting against lymphatic stagnation. You are getting those immune cells to the places where they need to be. You are helping to flush all the waste material from out of the tissues in the interstitial spaces to get transported to where it needs to go to be clean and refreshed and recirculated. It helps with the fluid balance, the oxygenation of the tissues, right? So the key law of health for lymphatic health here one of them is going to be exercise, right? All of them will be important, but this one will play a very key role. So the lymphatic system is one of the most important locations for the activation of the immune system. The lymph nodes play the role of like a pathogen like quarantine area, or should I say pathogen containment. So it will be the first to catch these viruses or bacteria or toxins, and lymph node will do the work of filtration, neutralization, and all that kind of stuff. The lymph node contains the lymphocytes, the NK, T, and B cells, right? It helps to keep cancer out of the system. But another very important role that the lymph nodes play is that they help to determine from self and non-self uh, cells. They are able to identify which cells of the body are yours, right? They play a very important role that your immune system does not attack itself. All right. So it helps your body to recognize you. You know what I mean? You wouldn't want your immune cells attacking your joints. In that case, you're having what? Rheumatoid arthritis. You wouldn't want your immune cells to be attacking your thyroid. You might develop Graves' disease, hypothyroidism, or hypothyroidism, where your thyroid is underactive, right? You wouldn't want it, to cause you to develop autoimmune type conditions. When you have autoimmune type conditions, this is where the problem is going wrong. It is going wrong in your lymphatic system, in your immune system. The role of the body being able to identify itself, something goes wrong there. And then your immune cells begin to attack you. You develop an autoimmune condition, and there are varied amounts. All right. But this is where it starts to go wrong, right here in the lymphatic system, right here in the lymph node, right? It also helps to direct appropriate attack, similar to what I just said, making sure the system knows who and what to attack. Okay. In the lymph node, when a virus is found, right, it will be attacked and broken up by the immune system, and the immune system will actually preserve parts of these invaders and present it to your T cells, or to your B cells, for your B cells to produce antibodies. So your lymph node is where antibodies are produced. And what antibodies do is that they tag invaders for destruction, right? So you can see how the entire lymphatic system plays a very important role in the management of your health by regulating your immune system, directing it, right? By detoxing the system, right? By containing your immune cells, dealing with targeting and all that kind of stuff. And it helps to stem the advance of pathogens or toxins within the body, right? So it's like your entire body wash. An important thing to note is that, did you know that your lymphatic system can actually shrink, right? It can shrink. I know what shrinks lymphatic cells? Cortisol. Cortisol causes your entire lymphatic system to kind of start going unbalanced, start to tune it down, so to speak, depress it and down regulate it, and downright can cause your lymph nodes to start to shrink. Is that something that you would want? No. But what causes cortisol in the blood to raise? Another AAA going out. What thing in the body causes the release of cortisol? Some bright student, AAA on the line here. Anyone? What causes release of cortisol in the body?
Stress.
I heard somebody just say it a while ago. Who said it? Who said
Lack
stress?
of stress.
Who said stress?
Hale's family typed in the chat stress.
Well, I heard somebody say, but the person not opening back their mind. But whoever it is, that's your triple A. Indeed, stress causes the release of cortisol, right? And that is where temperance comes in. We can't live stressed out lives. When you are stressed out, you are literally down-regulating your immune system. You are causing your immune system to drop, right? It is, you can actually permanently affect your immune system by causing it to shrink when you are under continuous amounts of unhealthy stress. It's so important it is for us to live our lives free when we can trust and depend upon God, that everything that comes to us comes from God. And if God is in control, then we have nothing to worry about. Stress destroys the immune system. Let us continue. So that is your lymph nodes. And if you know anything about your kidney and your liver, you will see some similarities in their structure right here when you go down to the smallest levels of how your lymph node is designed, right? And like that structure is what aids in its work of detoxification and defense against invaders, pathogens, and bacteria. We're not going to go too deep into the minutia of it, but let us just look quickly at some of the work, the detoxification work, the protection work that is done within the lymph nodes. So, as was said before, it deals with the filtration of the lymphs, causing the removal of water and electrolytes while retaining proteins and lipids in the lymph. As noted before, it is responsible for the destruction and elimination of bacteria and toxins carried out by the macrophages in the lymph nodes. And the lymph nodes, they act as defense barriers and help in the strengthening of your immunity. Lymph nodes are also indicators of infection in our body. When our body is fighting an infection, the lymph node goes into overdrive. This increase in activity of the lymph nodes causes them to swell. This swelling usually occurs in lymph nodes located near the area of infection. Once the infection subsides, the swollen lymph nodes go back to their original size in a week or two. So you see the important role. This is a word of caution. I remember we had a client, well, not a client, somebody reached out to us for help with a parent who was suffering from cancer. And they came to us when things went too bad. Now, these doctors have been treating the cancer with chemotherapy and various harsh drugs. And they went to the point where they took out all the major lymph nodes in the groin. I think he was dealing with prostate cancer. So, you know, the lymph nodes closest to the prostate would be the lymph nodes that are just going through hell. And they removed it. And see, Framsha told me they took out the lymph nodes. But I said to her, I said, you know, I breathed out a big sigh. Oh. And she's like, what? I said, I'm going to tell the honest truth. If your father didn't have that surgery, I would have been more hopeful. But the chemo, number one, destroyed the immune system, really put it under pressure, and they went ahead and they now cut out the lymph nodes. I said that, you know, it's looking very dim for him. Because in my mind, the doctors went ahead and destroyed the very thing that would have played a very key role in healing him, the organs of the immune system. They took out the lymph nodes. So what is going to be fighting the cancer? How are the NK killer cells, the natural killer cells, going to do their work of eliminating the cancer, which we are told is a germ, right? What about the T cells and the B cells? You know, they took out the immune system and said that they are fighting the cancer. You know, that is, I don't know, working against yourself for the lack of a better word. We need to be really informed about how our body works, how disease works, and how the body fights against disease. So when we come up against these doctors, we can have a little bit of knowledge to understand, you know, where they may be going too far and be able to advise our families against some of these treatments that are not are not best. You know, God's methods are best when dealing with any form of disease. Imagine that, cutting out the lymph nodes to help the cancer. Doesn't work, friends, doesn't work. All right, so let's get back to the main part of our presentation. So now that we understand how the lymphatic system works, let us go back now to finish discussing the work of detoxification that it does. All right. Good. So lymphatic system is part of the immune system, as we just went through in detail. It keeps the body levels, fluid levels in balance, defends the body against infections. Went through that in detail just now. And as I explained, it is running like a network, just like your blood network. Likewise, running like a network, a lymphatic system is just beneath the surface of the skin, and lymphatic system transports waste, including toxins, to be metabolized from the body, helping you feel lighter, more energetic, and generally healthier in the process. And if you understood everything that I just explained in detail, you'll understand this statement. So the plasma washes the cells through within the interstitial spaces, and the lymphatic capillaries pick it up, and that is how all that is flushed and dealt with, how all the toxins are dealt with, how it defends the body. And once that system is working excellently, the flow is good, the immune response to whatever it faces is good, the toxins are efficiently metabolized and eliminated from the body, you feel lighter, you feel more energetic, and generally healthier in the process. Takes all the waste and toxins that build up in our cells and flushes them out. And we don't need to go through that. We just explained, if lymph fluid is not flowing out of the nose through to the kidneys and livers to be flushed, it backs up like a sewer line, right? So we cannot have any blockage in any, backflow, so to speak, any stagnation within the lymphatic system, just like a sewer line backed up, just like your colon, when you have constipation, those toxins will leach back into the system and do their woeful work of destruction, right? You will more sensitive or prone to infections and disease. So it is very important to know that by adding a simple detox program to your routine, you can help your lymphatic system flush waste out of the body and improve your overall health and wellness. Now, how to detox the lymphatic system naturally? Key one would be massage, right? Where when you physically manipulate the human body, right? There are some specialist massage that you can use to promote lymphatic drainage, and it is a great way to clear up congested lymphatic system and to get the fluid flowing. You're literally going to be using your hand, and while you're massaging and squeezing and pushing and pulling against the muscle, you will be pushing and pulling on the fluid within the lymphatic vessels and get it moving. So that manual manipulation through massage can get that fluid moving, right? The massage is often referred to as manual lymphatic drainage. It can help to relieve swelling and pain, especially if you have swollen lymph nodes. It improves the immune system by the fact that you are moving that lymphatic fluid through the lymphatic system. It helps to cleanse the tissues of waste, because as you massage, you will help to move that plasma fluid from out of the interstitial spaces into the lymphatic system and get it going to where it needs to go. And it gently enhances the flow of lymph fluid throughout the body. So massage is one of the ways to naturally help the lymphatic system to detox. Another way is diet. What you eat is an important part of your physical and mental health that we well know and has been well, discussed on this platform. A well-balanced diet makes you feel good, and it's as simple as that. Eating healthy produces less waste. That's the first thing. When you eat healthy, you produce less waste for your lymphatic system to clean up. Certain types of diet, you're overloading all of the channels of detoxification, right? The colon is overloaded, the liver is overloaded, and your lymphatic system is overloaded because we continue to take in poisonous foods, right? So you're not only dealing with poisons and toxins from your environment, you're dealing with poisons and toxins in the food when you're eating unhealthy food, highly processed foods, animal-based foods, right? Can you imagine people who eat in liver and kidney and all these things, eating the garbage from the animal kingdom and then putting that load on your body? It has to be cleared up, right? That is pressure on your lymphatic system. All right. Best to eat the natural foods, the foods that God has ordained for his children to eat. Vegetables, fruits, nuts, grains. Okay. So we need to do our lymphatic system a favor by avoiding highly processed foods that are high in salt, sugar, fats, preservatives. All of those, avoiding all those kinds of foods will help reduce your chances of lymphatic congestion. Now, what are some of the foods that are very important for proper functioning of your lymphatic system? Dark green leafy vegetables, ginger, citrus fruits, and you have garlic, and of course, water. Very important, especially that you have a lot of water in your diet. You don't want the body to be dehydrated. If you're dehydrated, it will impact the flow of all fluids through your body, including lymphatic fluid impacting your lymphatic system. Okay. A third way to naturally detox your lymphatic system is through the use of herbs, right? They are a popular way to naturally purify your lymphatic system. And some of the key herbs that are used in cleansing the lymphatic system is calendula, echinacea, and dandelion. And these are just a few of the many herbs that promote lymphatic draining, helps to reduce any swelling and pain, and it boosts your immune system. Where you mentioned water, and that one is, pretty clear. It may be getting very old to hear that you need to drink enough water, but drinking water is actually very crucial to every single aspect of your health, including your lymphatic system. You need to drink at least 8 glasses of water a day, keep fluids flowing instead of clogging up your system. Exercise. One of the other key ways to detox your lymphatic system. Regular exercise is a great way to get your lymphatic system pumping and detoxing your system of waste. And you have, of course, jumping, walking, and stretching. We don't recommend those last two. I won't even say their names. But jumping, walking, stretching, especially walking, excellent exercise to promote the detoxification of your lymphatic system. And this is to be done every single day. We need to be moderately exercising for at least an hour daily. And this will really improve the state of your lymph. And this is one of Doc's favorites, to use a rebounder. Also using a rebounder, that's a little trampoline, is effective with lymphatic drainage. Other ways to drain the lymphatic system: contrast therapy, that is hot and cold water, right? You shower under the hottest water that you can tolerate for 3 minutes, and then 30 seconds cold, and you can rotate that like about 5 times. That is contrast therapy or contrast hydrotherapy, hot and cold water. You can apply castor oil packs, especially over the major lymph nodes, especially if you're dealing with a condition that is causing significant pain and swelling in a lymph node. That is an excellent remedy to put a castor oil pack, a warm castor oil pack over the area, right? The castor oil is deep penetrating and it helps to detox and encourage the movement of lymph through the lymphatic system. We also have dry brushing, right? Especially after you have finished doing hydrotherapy, you just take a rough rag and slowly rub the skin in circular patterns right around and round and round. Another key thing is to have your daily lemon water first thing in the morning, right? And to stay hydrated throughout the day. And of course, we have the infrared sauna, another way to help detox the lymphatic system. All right, so that brings us to the end of tonight's presentation on this major organ of detoxification, or this major system of detoxification, the lymphatic system. I think we have a few more minutes to go before 8:30. We have 5 more minutes before 8:30. So let's open the floor to see if there are any questions. You may ask them now. Any questions? Let me just check the chat. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat. Now, the lymphatic system, I want to join it to what we discussed last week, explaining that the colon, that 70% of your immune system lays within the colon. Now I have a big triple A for anybody who can link tonight's discussion and the fact that 70% of your immune system lays in the colon. Somebody explain the link for me. Let's see who can pull out my last triple A tonight. This is a big question. Link it for me. How is it that your lymphatic system, which is pretty much the underpinning structure of your immune system, how is it that 70% of it lays within your colon? What is that link there? How is it? So, anybody wants to say? Anybody wants to take a try at that one? Last triple A for tonight, guys. Quickly. Any hands? Hey, where are my bright students? What's happening tonight? Angel Lee, you wanted to try that one? See if we see any other of or our clients who knows this stuff. We're looking for a name. Tanika Fangli. Good night, sister. You want to take a try at it? Nobody? All the mics are closed and I don't see any hands.
All right, let me take a try. Let me take a try.
Remind me of your name, my brother. Remind me of your name.
Gordon.
Brother Garden. Okay, go ahead, Brother Garden.
Yeah, I'm
Brave
saying
Garden, go ahead.
since the colon, I believe the colon is the place where waste is collected before it leaves the body. Correct me if I'm wrong. And normally in the colon you have what I would say harmful bacteria. And if the body is to survive these harmful bacteria, then the lymphatic system would have to come into play here. And I think from in my little way, that's the correlation between the lymphatic and the system and the colon.
Very close. You almost got it. It's very close. You're not actually wrong. It's just how you took it from a different perspective, but you're very on point. But let me sharpen it for you. So
Okay.
I would think that because of what you just said, a lot of bacteria is in the colon. Guess what? There needs to be a lot of presence of. Where did I say? What structure within the lymphatic system deals with the blocking of bacteria getting into the body and fighting against them? What structure?
The lymph nodes.
The lymph nodes. So guess what? There are plenty of within the colon.
You mean like the T cells, the B cells?
Come on, what structure? What structure? You just said it.
The lymph nodes.
Lymph nodes, exactly. So there are a lot of lymph nodes within the colon. Wholly, the majority of the lymph nodes that exist within the body, they are concentrated within the colon, right? So by that virtue, there's 70% of your immune system is concentrated within the colon because of the vast presence of lymph nodes, right? And then also, because you have this high concentration of lymph nodes, when you have a high concentration of lymphocytes, right? The T cells, the B cells, the NK, the natural killer cells, right? The macrophages and all the other lymphatic structures, or I should say immune cells that are contained within these lymphatic structures are going to be present right there in the colon. And then what happens is that these cells, a lot of them, they have like what you call tendrils, like long fingers that protrude right through the intestinal walls and into the intestinal space, and they interact with the bacteria. They're picking up signals and all sort of stuff. The process is not fully understood by the researchers, but it is thought that there's an interplay. Well, it is known that there's an interplay between the good bacteria in your colon, right, and your immune cells, right? Those little fingers from the immune cells, they are like little filaments going through the colon into the intercolon space, and it communicates with the bacteria. What they're talking about, we're not sure, but we know it plays a very important role in the regulation of your immune system and how it functions. All right. And it keeps also a very good control if any bacteria should escape from out of the colon, or any toxins are escaping from out of the colon. The immune system is right there to sap up all that waste material, stop any bacteria and waste from getting too far in the body, and the lymph nodes are doing the work of killing the bacteria and eliminating the waste. All right? Tell me if that is now clear to you, my brother God. You understand a little bit clearer?
Very, very clear, very clear.
Right. So that is how 70% of your immune system lies within the colon, and why it is very important for you to have a very, well-balanced gut microbiome, because it plays a role in regulating your immune system. So, and you see, when that system breaks down, that is when you become susceptible to autoimmune conditions. All autoimmune conditions begin in the gut, right? And you notice that the interplay with food and all that is going to take place. All of our systems are interconnected. Weakness in any system, any one system, will have a cascading effect down the line, affecting all others. All right. So that's why we have to be all the 8 laws of health. And that's why we have to pay attention to every single system of the body, especially the 7 channels of elimination. If there's no elimination, there's something that Doc likes to say. There is no good health without good gut health, and there's no good gut health without good elimination. All right. So we need to keep all these channels clear. I hope the message, the presentation was helpful, the information provided was helpful. And as we like to say here on this platform, now that you have been educated on these matters, go forth and sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon thee. Brother Gardy, you're the last person to speak. Can I just ask you to just close with a 1-minute word of prayer?
Okay, no problem. Let us pray. Father in heaven, we are so thankful that you have made us so well. And we ask your forgiveness now for all the things that we have done knowingly and unknowingly to destroy this wonderfully made body that you have given unto us. We thank you for this presentation, and we thank you for the information that we have gotten. We ask that you'll help us now to go and make the best use of these information, so that our body temples can be the best for your service, O Lord. Abide with us, give us a good night's rest, and may your will be done in our lives as we look to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, Brother Garden. Thank you, friends. And next week we will continue. Hopefully, we'll be able to do the presentation on the liver next week. That is Doc's presentation. If not, we will move on to the blood. The life is in the blood. Have a good night, everyone. Blessings.